All right, so now we're going to do this upper part here where these two joint chains separate and they go two different directions. So for this particular one, I am going to go ahead and create this as broken. I'm not going to do what I did here where I had the two joints come together. I'm actually going to keep these separated simply because they are offset from the main joint chain. I don't want any kind of weirdness with the joint jumping in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and on this arm root, I'm going to do what I did before in the previous video. And that's, I'm going to go ahead and group it twice. So I'm going to do Control G twice, 1, 2. So it creates two groups. And I'm going to go ahead and on this second group, I'm going to go ahead and hold down, I'm going to hide the geometry for a second. So I'm going to turn my polygons off because I just want the joints. I'll hold down D. And I will vert snap right to this guy so that my pivot point for this top group is on this joint. It's not oriented with the joint, but it's up here. All right. And I'll show my polygons again. All right. So now what I can do is now go ahead and name these guys. And it's just going to be a pad. So I'll just call this arm upper pad 1, and this one will be arm upper pad 2. Alright, so now I have the two pads. Now I can go ahead and take this upper arm and middle mouse drag it, parent it directly to my arm end. Alright. If I want to see it, there it is. It's parented. If I go up and grab my arm base, notice now my entire joint chain is now contained under the arm base. If I go ahead and rotate this, whoops, wrong one. I am still in D, so I have to undo that. So now I go ahead and rotate this, and now my arm moves. And notice it moves with it separated. All right. So the reason for these pads is so that it prevents the joint from being created. It also creates a separate world for this to live in. I can go in and change the orientation of this group. So I could go in and be like, oh, this pad, needs to be rotated a certain way. It doesn't really matter. I'm just using the pad to not create the bone in between the two. Because this joint is going to rotate independently anyway, so it doesn't really matter what the group was doing that it got it from. That's going to change when we do controls. Controls, this is going to matter. In this particular case, it doesn't matter. I just want you to understand that what pads do. All right. So at this point, my major joint chain is there. So my joints are at this point are basically done. Now it's a matter of creating the controls. Because you don't want the animator to come in here and have to select joints to move. I mean, how many of you guys have had to do that since you started animating characters? Shouldn't be any of you. Hopefully nobody's been going in and moving joints manually. We're going to need to create controls for all of these. So before I go, we need to go ahead and we need to start building our hierarchy because we really don't have it yet. Like I said, you don't have to build it right away, but now we're getting into a point where it can get kind of messy with our outliner because we've got all this stuff. So let's go ahead and get it set up. So right now I do have a group for the geo. I'm going to make a new group for it. But right now I have this base, and this is our joint chain. I'm just going to group this once, Control G, and I'm going to call this group joints. All right, so this is our joints group. So if I open up joints, this is all the joints. So if I shift click this, and I get my entire joint chain set up. All right. So I have the joints. This is my geo. I'm going to be breaking this group. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to break it now. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I'm going to select all of these guys, and I'm going to group it one time. And I'm going to call this geo. All right. This puts all my geo in a group called geo. I could also just go rename this group. Matter of fact, you know what? I'll just do that. I'll just grab this group. I'm just going to rename it geo. All right. So now I have geo and I have joints. I'm going to be making controls. So to anticipate the creation of controls, I'm just going to deselect everything. Don't have anything selected. Just click out here. And then just create a group. And I'm going to call this group controls. All right. Then I can take all of these guys, group it again, And then this will be the group that is my master group. So I'll select this guy and I'll call this robot arm master. All right, this will be the master group. Now this isn't the last group I'm going to make. There's going to be more. But now I have this basic setup that has all my stuff contained inside one master group. The master group needs to be at the origin. I open it up. I'll have my controls, my geo or joints, and my geo. I tend to put my geo at the top of the group, so I'll rearrange this a little bit. My controls are usually last. So this is just me personally. It doesn't matter technically where they are, but whenever I'm talking about stuff, usually it's the geo I deal with first. That's looking at where that's at. I create joints inside the geo, and then the last thing I do is I create controls for the joints. And in my brain, this is how I see it, so that's how I do it. In reality, it doesn't matter. They're all on the same level under the parent anyway, so that doesn't really matter. But for me, when I'm explaining it, it makes it simpler if it's that way. So you just middle mouse drag those into whatever order you want, and then you have one master. So the next thing we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and start creating controls. So we'll do that in the next video.